It begins with silence. Two men stand in a boardroom, faces red, voices raised moments ago. Now only tension fills the air. One of them takes a slow breath and says softly, "You're right." The other man blinks, caught off guard. His anger dissolves like mist in sunlight. The argument fades, and conversation begins again. That's the magic of agreement. One simple shift in attitude that turns walls into bridges and conflict into cooperation. Dale Carnegie once wrote, "The only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it." He wasn't teaching weakness. He was teaching wisdom, the power to win hearts without fighting the mighty. Arguments are like fires. Every word of disagreement adds more fuel, and yet it takes just one drop of agreement to cool the flames. Carnegie understood something timeless about human nature. People rarely change their minds when attacked, but they often change when they feel understood. Agreement is not surrender, it's strategy. It's emotional intelligence in its purest form. In one of his courses, a salesman stood up and shared this. "I had a client who was furious. He said my company had cheated him. My instinct was to argue, to defend myself. But then I remembered Carnegie's words. I said, 'You're absolutely right to be upset. I'd feel the same way if that happened to me.' The man's shoulders softened. His anger melted. Within minutes, they were talking calmly again. By the end of the meeting, the client renewed his contract. The salesman didn't win the argument. He won the man. Every human being wants two things: to feel understood and to feel respected. The moment you argue, you threaten both. But the moment you agree, even a little, you restore both. Agreement tells someone, "I see you, I hear you, I respect you." And when people feel seen, they listen. That's why Carnegie taught us to begin every conversation in a friendly way. Because every yes you give opens a door that no slams shut. Modern science calls it emotional regulation. Carnegie simply called it good manners. When you say, "I understand your point," you're not giving up. You're growing up. It takes strength to agree kindly. It takes control to meet hostility with calm. And that, my friend, is true power. A hotel clerk faced an irate guest one evening. The man slammed his fist on the counter. "There's no reservation in my name. This is outrageous." The clerk didn't argue. He smiled gently and said, "You're absolutely right, sir. This must be terribly frustrating. Let's see how we can fix it right away." The man froze. His tone softened. Within minutes, the problem was solved, and before leaving, the guest thanked the clerk for his kindness. You don't fight fire with fire. You cool it with calm. When someone argues, their mind becomes a fortress. The harder you attack, the higher their walls grow. But when you agree, you open the gate. Neuroscientists have found that when you validate someone's feelings, their brain releases oxytocin, the trust hormone. Agreement literally rewires hostility into cooperation. Carnegie didn't know the science. He just knew it worked. He called it the friendly way. Now let's see how to use agreement in everyday life. Step 1, begin in a friendly tone. Before you say a word, smile. Warmth disarms faster than logic ever will. Step 2, find common ground. Start with what you both want. We both care about this project. We both want peace. Common ground is sacred territory. Step 3, acknowledge their view. Say, "You might be right," or "I can see how you feel." People loosen their grip when they feel heard. Step 4, guide, don't grind. Once rapport is built, gently lead forward. What if we looked at it this way? That phrasing turns conflict into collaboration. Step 5, stay kind, especially when you're right. Winning kindly is more powerful than being right loudly. Here is one story. Two friends argued about politics for years. Each believed they were logical. Each left angrier. One day, one simply said, "You know what? You make a good point." The argument ended. The friendship didn't. You can win an argument or keep a relationship, but rarely both. A young engineer once clashed with his supervisor about a design flaw. He stormed in, data in hand, determined to prove his point. The supervisor listened quietly and said, "You might be right. Let's check your idea together." The engineer's anger evaporated. They reviewed the work side by side, and he soon realized he had missed something. The supervisor hadn't humiliated him. He'd guided him with agreement. That's leadership. Every leader faces a choice: rule through ego or lead through empathy. Carnegie said you can't win an argument. If you lose it, you lose it. And if you win it, you lose it. Great leaders don't prove others wrong. They help others see what's right. They stand beside people, not above them. When you say, "Let's figure this out together," you're not weak. You're wise. Here's one story of the farmer and the salesman. A salesman visited a farmer who refused to buy his machine. "Your product's no good," the farmer said. "I've seen better." The salesman smiled. You might be right. There's always a better one somewhere. But this one saved farmers like you hundreds of hours. The farmer chuckled. Well, tell me how. By the end, he bought it. You can't plant seeds in hard ground. Agreement softens the soil. Your everyday moments. At home, you say, I know you care. Can we find a way that works for both of us? At work, you say, that's a creative idea. Let's build on it. In friendships, you say, you might be right about that. Agreement isn't giving up your truth. It's choosing peace over pride. You know why arguments fail? Carnegie once said, when two people argue, both are wrong, partly. Argument blinds us. It turns conversation into competition. But the purpose of dialogue is not victory, it's understanding. And understanding begins with one gentle word. Yes. A young man once dined with an older gentleman who misstated a historical fact. The young man was about to correct him when a friend whispered, why prove him wrong? Let him enjoy his opinion. The young man stayed silent. Later, he realized he had kept a friendship intact. Sometimes silence is the highest form of agreement. Here is the science of yes. Carnegie advised, begin by emphasizing points of agreement. Why? Because each yes builds momentum. Each one releases dopamine, the brain's reward chemical. When you start a conversation with agreement, you set it on rails toward understanding. Today, outrage rules conversations. Social media rewards conflict, not compassion. Carnegie's wisdom feels revolutionary. Begin in a friendly way. Agreement, in a world of argument, is rebellion. It says, I choose connection over conquest. You don't have to agree on everything, just enough to stay human. Abraham Lincoln was a master of agreement. When tensions divided his cabinet, he began with shared values. We all love our country. We all want freedom. That simple truth united men who moments earlier stood opposed. Agreement, not argument, held the Union together. Here is challenge for you. This week, try this experiment. Every time someone disagrees, don't defend. Pause, then say, you're right about that, or that's a fair point. Watch what happens. Tension will fade. Understanding will rise. You'll win hearts, not victories. Agreement is the language of wisdom. It doesn't demand, it invites. It doesn't crush, it connects. Dale Carnegie's secret was never manipulation. It was respect, pure and simple. So the next time conflict knocks open the door with kindness, start with yes, lead with warmth, and watch resistance melt away. And in our next lesson, we'll explore a deeper strength, the power of genuine interest. You'll learn why it is important to be interested, not interesting. Until then, stay kind, stay curious, and remember, the best way to win any argument is not to have one. See you all in next video.